Hi, and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 6, Sicut Cervus. This video is a part of a series of videos where I review episodes of Fear the Walking Dead, so I'll have to give a spoiler warning for Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 6. If you haven't seen up to this point, you may not want to watch this video, otherwise some things may be spoiled for you. So I didn't entirely hate this episode. I thought this episode had some really interesting and original qualities to it, and I continue to enjoy the character exploration this show is capable of, with one notable exception I'll get to shortly. However, overall, it seems like this episode is making the argument on why a spin-off series of The Walking Dead should not exist, as it is just repeating the same beats that we've already seen in the main series. So more and more I'm starting to have serious doubts about this show overall. So we start the episode with a very interesting scene at a church, which I thought was a nice illustration of how religious people would deal with the zombie apocalypse. But we see them gearing up and ready to go out and fight. At this stage, we're not sure who or why, but we see Thomas Abigail, Strand's lover, for the first time in present times, as she shows up to try to prevent these churchgoers from their violence. But then they all start bleeding from the eyes and dying, and the priest said that this was Cecilia's doing. So at this point, I had no idea what the hell was happening. However, this is all made perfectly clear later on in the episode. In fact, I really like how they paid this off, and I thought it looped around perfectly. So then we go back to our heroes on the boat as they cross into Mexican waters, and Strand and Luis attempt to negotiate their way past the border patrol. I love Madison's line about, well, how do you say asshole in Spanish? And Strand's response is, you don't. And so Madison gathers everyone else to hide in the engine room while Strand and Luis deal with the border patrol. I love the way this scene was handled, as instead of actually seeing Strand and Luis bargain with the patrol, you see it all from the perspective of those hiding in the engine room, as Salazar translates for everyone what they're saying, and you see the reaction of those in there, like Nick and Alicia, just wanting the border patrol to just take the money and go. But things start to go south when they insist on searching the boat, and the firefight breaks out, and then the engines start. So Salazar and the others then go out to find the two border patrol men dead, Luis shot and dying, and Strand is the only man left standing, and they then force their way past the military, who stop shooting at them once they get to shore. So Salazar stabs the two border patrol bodies so they won't turn, but when he goes to do it to Luis, he refuses, begs him not to. So I love this scene. I thought it was super intense. However, it didn't really make sense to me that the military would just let them go because they think that they won't survive on shore. So why bother trying to stop them in the first place? Also, I think it's interesting that there's still some remnants of government control by having a military border there. I thought everything would have fallen apart by this point. And also, how are they so sure the military, or someone else for that matter, won't just steal their boat once they go on shore? But maybe they don't care because the whole plan is to make it to a safe house in Mexico. So our heroes go ashore to be attacked by the churchgoers we saw at the start of the episode that have all turned into walkers. And during the fighting, Madison gets pinned and is in danger of being bitten. And Chris is in a position to help, but he stands there and does nothing. Alicia sees this and helps Madison while yelling at Chris. Then our group makes it to the safe house run by Luis and Thomas's mother, Cecilia. They're welcomed warmly, but told to leave their weapons behind. Everyone is okay with this except for Salazar, who is very hesitant, but he eventually gives them up. So Strand then finds that Thomas has been bitten and is dying. Most likely he was bitten by one of the churchgoers during the incident at the start of the episode. So he goes to him to comfort him, while he's dying. Nick makes friendly with Cecilia, who tells Madison he's special, and then Nick goes with Ophelia to a shrine as she talks to her dead mother, and he zones out and has visions of the dead. And honestly, this is where the episode slowed down for me and got really boring. So then we see Alicia confront Chris about how he nearly let her mother die, but he denies it and says that he just froze. But when Alicia argues, he threatens her and tells her not to tell anyone, and when she asks him what he'll do if she does, he gets a really freaky, creepy look in his face, and it looks like he's turning into a psychopath. And I have to say, I hated this character change in Chris. I mean, I got why he killed that asshole in the previous episode because he was being a dick, and frankly, he deserved it. But now he wants to kill Madison and act like a psycho to Alicia. I mean, he and Alicia had some great bonding moments in season 1, so much so many people thought that they might hook up. But now he's threatening to kill her? I'm sorry, but this is bloody stupid. And so Alicia tells Madison about it, who goes to Travis about it, and Travis's response is, "So Chris would threaten to kill you and Alicia. That makes zero goddamn sense." And Travis, you are 100% correct. You hit the nail right on the head. It makes zero goddamn sense. This is just horrible writing in order to create fake stakes, and it's total BS. So the plot escalates when Salazar spots a little boy feeding a dog to something. So he asks the little boy what's up, and discovers that Cecilia is keeping a bunch of walkers in prison and believes the walkers are actually people. As when Salazar confronts her about it, we find she's the one who poisoned the churchgoers because they were going to fight her because she was keeping the walkers around. And she expresses her belief that he killed the churchgoers because, they killed the walkers. And retrospectively, we find out that's why Luis didn't want to be stabbed in the head, because he wanted to come back as a walker. So I got to say, this was such an unbelievable rehash of the Herschel storyline from season 2 of The Walking Dead, with a bit of the Lizzie storyline sprinkled in there as well, as she treated walkers like real people and killed her sisters so that she could become a walker. And frankly, I never really liked that storyline in the first place and thought it was rather dumb, so I definitely don't need to see another version of it. So I'm sorry, but this scene it seemed to me like the show was trying to convince me why it doesn't need to exist, and I think it did a pretty goddamn good job of it too. So we get more stuff with Thomas dying and Strand comforting him. Strand offers to die with him, but he refuses, and Cecilia even offers Strand some poison so he can die with Thomas and they can both be walkers together. So he looks like he's considering it, but then we see Chris go into Alicia's room while Alicia and Madison are sleeping. He picks up a knife and it looks like he's going to kill them. Then a gunshot goes off, which wakes them up, and Alicia yells at Chris to get out. So he does. Then we learn the gunshot we heard was Strand shooting Thomas in the head. So obviously Cecilia is going to be really pissed, as in her twisted little brain, Strand just murdered her son because he prevented him from coming back as a walker. And then we get things coming to a head with Chris, and as I mentioned before, I think this is really stupid character change I don't buy for an instant. In fact, I would say that this single episode has entirely ruined Chris's character, so much so that they have no choice but to kill him off now. So my rating for Sicut Cervus out of 10 is a 5 average. It started out so good with this creepy opening scene and high tension chase into Mexico. In fact, I absolutely loved the start of this episode and thought it was amazing television, but then it got so bad when they arrived at the sanctuary to discover that they completely destroyed Chris's character and that they are just recycling old plot points from the main show that were never that good to begin with, and it seems like they're trying to talk me out of liking this show. So that's it for my review of Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 6. Make sure to come back here next week as I review the mid-season finale of Fear the Walking Dead. Also be sure to check out my channel for many more reviews on shows like Game of Thrones, Star Trek, Orphan Black, and more. And be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. Thanks a lot for watching.